Starting not with the NWA World Title Program, fuck that, we'll start with the Jarrett antics.
Yes, because they're more fun.
The real World Title Program this month, which is typical Jeff Jarrett. I'm actually almost surprised the 8-man tag didn't main event the pay-per-view.
I'm not, but like it was refreshing.
The Jarrett, while not world champion, is still the center of attention, but he did give up the main event this month.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, he doesn't seem to care that much about losing the title. Like, he cares more about blackmailing. That seems to be his real focus this month, and not so much regaining his world title. He seems actually quite happy without it. He's having a grand old time this month. He's just goofing off with his pals, blackmailing a woman, recording a man and his family.
Yeah, all the good daytime activities that people go through after they suffer a loss.
This is Jeff Jarrett's wholesome month.
The man's thriving.
Yeah.
So, if you remember last month, Sting left. Sting retired. He's gone. But Eric Young is like, I don't think he's gone, guys. I think Sting is still around. I think Sting is still waiting to attack us from any angle. And Jeff Jarrett is like, shut the fuck up, dude. We got rid of him. He's gone forever. Why are you bringing my mood down?
I'm so happy after losing the world title, man. Stop bumming me out.
I played no real role in Sting being gone, but he is gone, so I'm happy.
I like that part of Eric Young's fear comes from plagiarism of copyright materials.
Yeah, there's a moment this month where he's like, no, don't, stop calling me Showtime. He'll get mad at me. Stop doing it.
It almost seemed like because it happened like 2 weeks into like the month, or like I guess a month total of this story being told, that they just realized halfway through that Eric Young has the same nickname, or like has a nickname that is the same as Sting's catchphrase.
Yeah.
And they're like, holy shit, we have something with that.
We've had this guy be paranoid for like 3 weeks now. We haven't actually hit on that.
It's a great subplot.
So the February 18 Impact, JB has Jeff Jarrett. He said he was screwed at Against All Odds as Christian beat him for the NWA World title. But he's going to take that negative, and Liam, he's going to turn it into a positive. Because there's an 8-man tag at Destination X. They don't say who's in it. But and he's going to eliminate his problems there. And then he's like, we drove Sting out of TNA. To which Eric Young is like, is he gone though? Is he though? I don't think he's gone. And Jarrett's like, shut up.
He's like, why I oughta?
Jackie comes in, she's like, I'm still mad at you, and Jeff is like, I have this tape, Jackie, and we can make a deal. We can either show this tape later tonight to the world, and people can see all your behaviors, or you can be our slave. So that's Jackie's choice.
And he also mentions that this is a copy of the tape. He has the master tape at home.
Yeah, he is very smart like that. So if she stole it, if the tape was taken and ran away with, which may become a theme this month, he would still have the regular tape.
Very smart of this man. The smartest man in the room, Jeff Jarrett.
So later in that show, they're about to sit down for one of their many viewing parties this month. The Planet Jarrett viewing party is the most recurring segment in this month of March 2006.
And it's always good.
They are always good. They're always like super excited. They're hyped up. They're like, we're going to watch a tape.
Like Jeff Jarrett as someone viewing a pro wrestling show stinks. But it seems like a lot of fun to hang out with Jeff Jarrett and kayfabe. The man is always happy.
My boy is in his hype crews around him. They're all very excited. They're all just like high-fiving.
They've all seen it before too. They're like, yeah, let's put it on again.
So they're about to watch the Jackie tape, and Jackie says she'll leave if she gets the tape. And Jeff is like, leave? We don't want you to leave. You're going to become our slave.
He's like, you had your chance to go. Now you're going to stay.
Yeah, it's like this tape might end up on the internet if you leave, but now you're going to do whatever we want. You can't quit like Sting did. We're gonna keep you here.
And then they, like, my favorite thing is before they settle down to, like, watch the tape, is a great line from Alex Shelley, where he goes, I went to art school for this, you know? And then he goes, yeah, and here's where I put in the star wipe.
Oh, there's many great lines from Alex Shelley.
Alex Shelley, like, Paparazzi Productions might be a top 3 gimmick of all time.
Yeah, because it's basically like take Alex Shelley's sarcastic sense of humor and just ramp it up as far as you possibly can.
It's like, take, like, the, like almost gamer culture nerd humor of the time and like translate it into a wrestling You know what it is? We always talk about how Red Letter Media is the father of internet humor. Like it's like someone like took a Red Letter Media bit and put it on TV on a wrestling show.
When did Red Letter Media start?
Oh, after this for sure.
So Alex Shelley is the father of internet humor.
Of internet humor. But it wasn't on the internet. No, Red Letter Media 2004.
Oh, God damn it. Well, technically, we can make the case that the genesis of this is truly the Goldilocks verse. So...
But you know what? It makes sense, right? Same era, too.
When Jarrett threw a shot at Sting quitting, he was like, Sting isn't gone, and Jarrett got mad, and Scott is like, please, Jeff, don't put your hands on a member of Team Canada. Have the respect to respect my students and not put your hands on them. And then he turns to Eric Young himself and slaps him and tells him to stop talking about Sting.
And then Jeff Jarrett grabs him by his collar.
So then Jeff turns to Alex Shelley and he's like, I would like you to get proof that Sting is a quitter. So go to him out in California and get me pure, raw evidence that he's gone and he's never coming back.
My favorite thing here is like, the thing I find interesting, at least, about like the Jeff Jarrett character in Planet Jarrett is he doesn't get physical with any of them, even with someone like a Showtime. Like, he's almost like a disappointed father instead of like an abusive teammate.
Yeah, I thought it was more like he's this like annoying younger brother.
Yeah, because like remember at first when like Eric Young was first like doing the whole neurotic thing, like Jarrett was like, "Calm down, Eric. He's gone. It's fine."
Because, like, the best part of all of it is that Jarrett takes Eric Young seriously. Like, the problem of this angle is that, like, he can't just ignore Eric Young. He can't just be like, that's just Eric being Eric. It's like, Eric's paranoia is getting into his own head, and he's like, I guess we do need proof that he's gone. Alex, go get proof.
Yeah, it's perfect. It treats it with, like, the slightest tinge of, like, seriousness that it works. And then Gale and Scott like do a supervillain laugh at Jackie Gator's face.
Yeah, they're like, "You'll stuck here forever."
I honestly think that like everything about these segments is so good because like Shelley completely like kills it in this spot and like has an identity and it's great. But I also think that there's like everyone, all the like the supplemental characters that don't get a lot normally have been great. Like every time Gale and Jackie are together, they bounce off each other really well and are really funny. And like Eric and Scott obviously have great chemistry. And like when Jeff Jarrett is doing this kind of like goober heel mid-card stuff, he's legitimately funny and charming.
He's the best.
Yeah, like if he was doing this like all the time, he would be held in much higher regard, I feel.
He immediately moved out of the world title picture into a wacky, goofy mid-card program and suddenly became the best thing on the show. It's like, work it out, buddy!
Yeah, just let it get through your head.
Main event of this episode was Team 3D and Ron Killings facing Team Canada.
They had the segment backstage too, where Team 3D ran into Killings in the hole, and they did like... it doesn't feel like TNA. Like it feels like a Raw segment where they just like have we meet up in the backstage and have an interaction. Let's go beat them up.
And like Team 3D's catchphrase is "What's up?" and Truth's catchphrase is "What's up?" So Truth was like "What's up?" and they were like "What's up?" And then Truth was like, "What's up?" and they were like, "What's up?" and then they did the "What's up?" So that was a cute little bit.
It's very like Raw, especially when like at the end, like Brother Ray has to hit his like death, taxes, and tables line for the out.
Earlier in the show, we did have one of a few features on Ron Killings this month. So it's a little Ron Killings rebuild month going on here, where they're trying to refocus his character post Trail K. They're trying to put a little spotlight on Ron. So there's a couple of video features. The one on this show talks about his upbringing, his love of music. They show a picture of him and Tupac. So Tupac making his TNA debut on this, the February 18th, 2006 episode of Impact.
So Ron Killings says that he danced at James Brown's birthday party and met Tupac and Eazy-E. And then I was like, this is a charismatic, handsome, young guy who is already making strides in the entertainment industry. Why the hell is he in wrestling?
Yeah, well, like, because he goes into that about how, like, wrestling was, like, the conduit for him being, like, a dancer, an athlete, and a musician all in one. It's like, no, you should have tried, like, the dancer or musician or athlete part of that, not the wrestling bit.
No, you really dedicated yourself to the wrong medium.
Yeah, he didn't want to go to college for football, didn't want to go more into music, so he started to sell drugs instead.
Yeah, well, can't blame him.
Before he was eventually like, I should do wrestling. And then he focused on what he believed in, which is music, family, faith, and belief.
Ron Killings seems like a really nice guy.
He does. Seems like a cool, charming guy who deserves every ounce of success he's ever had.
I remember a few years ago, I watched like a video of him like going back to his like old community and just going like house to house and talking to people, and it was very sweet.
And like we talked about this, but like he's legitimately like a top 5-star in WWE at the moment.
Yeah, like I said, they will do the Sami Zayn thing where like they'll be like, "Fuck, we have to give him a title match," and like we might have to have him win because like once every year the WWE universe like picks a guy and goes, "They have been underserved in their career, and we're gonna make them get a push." It went from Brian, then it went to Kofi, then it went to Sammy, and now it's happening to R-Truth.
He is just charming and likable, and people love him.
And I think that's the thing. Like, WWE for so long has like held down the people that you like, that it's people, now they just easily get the story of give someone we like some moment. Like, they've really developed, and it's yearly. It's literally like around the clock. Like this time every year around Mania.
And more often than not, they steadfastly still refuse to give the person their moment.
They gave it to Brian. They gave it to Kofi. They kind of gave it to Sammy with the tag belts in the Mania main event.
But even Brian and Kofi, they were dragged fucking kicking and screaming into doing.
So it's like, who knows? We will see what happens. I would love if R-Truth won a big one. That'd be really fun.
Because you would only have to have him win like the tag titles as well.
And people would be so happy with it, yeah.
So like you don't even have, it's not even Sammy where like you should have made a case that he maybe should have won the belt. Like Ron can just win the tag titles and thumbs up, everyone's happy.
And makes sense with the people who are the tag champs too.
Yeah, and if you have a story there that they're telling and they won't pay off because they always do the hard part and then never the easy part. Like the hard part of get people to care, get people over, and then they're like, have that guy win? Fuck no.
They can team him with Austin Creed and they can be Truth and Consequences.
Oh. Big Bound for Glory 2007 teaming again.
You like that?
So this 3D and Killings against Team Canada main event, Mike tries to get Don to enthusiastically say death, taxes and tables, but he gives very unclear instruction. He says, repeat after me, death, taxes and tables, but then Don tries to say it alongside him, so they just kind of stumble and fall all over each other as they're trying to say death, taxes, tables enthusiastically.
Taxes and tables.
3D Flapjack Killings onto PD. Today announces that the main event of next week's Impact will be Ron Killings and Rhino challenging AMW for the NWA World Tag Team titles.
It'd be really embarrassing if Team Canada won here.
No, unless they've been 3D, and then they're like, they don't deserve tag title shots, but Ron still does.
Well, they just add Team Canada to the match.
It's true, could be a 3-way. They do the Waz up with a Truth leg drop off the top.
It's better.
So then they do the get the tables, but Liam bully pushed Ron instead of Devon.
What?
Because all the black guys are the same, I think is the bit they're going for.
It's happened like a few times in history, hasn't it?
Yeah, Bully likes that bit where he's like, if he's in the ring with two black guys, he pushes the wrong black guy.
Is the gimmick that he can't tell the difference?
I think it might be.
Team 3D. What a weird crew.
Devon was not pleased. Team Canada then cut off getting the tables, but Truth pinned A1 with an axe kick. AMW attack after the match. Rhino makes the save and gores Chris Harris. So next episode of Impact, JB has AMW. There's an 8-man tag at Destination X where they finally announce who's in the match. So it's Jarrett, Abyss, and AMW against Rhino, 3D, and Ron Killings. So that's your Jarrett match for the pay-per-view. Jarrett comes in with Shelly and he's like, we've got the footage of Sting. We're doing a viewing party tonight.
Viewing party. They say, Jackie Gator, get the room set up.
Yeah. And also they're like, Jackie, here's a weird outfit for you.
Yeah, pervert shit.
So there's then a show running angle where Gail and Jackie are backstage multiple times, or Gail gives her outfit to wear and then she's getting dressed and Jackie's like, I don't want to wear this, and Gail's like, you have to wear this.
Gail's like, well, you don't have to wear it, but I wouldn't want that video on the internet.
I do like how they immediately go back to, we are blackmailing you.
We have you doing sex things on video, and we will post it.
Oh, we had another Ron Killings video on this show where he talks about after his run-ins with the law, he decided to go straight and found wrestling as that place to channel all of his interests back into one. He talks about being the first black NWA World Champion, and now he's emerged from his cocoon and he's ready to go. So it's a weird thing to refer to TLK as, but...
I like that there's like a little bit where he's like, yeah, when I first came to TNA, I was kind of a rude dude.
Yeah, it's like, I wasn't a very good guy at the start there, but also Hermie Sadler did a racism to me, so I should have been the babyface.
But like, they don't frame it that way at all. It's just, I was kind of mean. It's like, you were pretty justified, man.
I had a bad attitude, but I'm a nice guy. So, main event of the episode for the NWA World Tag Team titles, America's Most Wanted versus Rhino and Ron Killing.
I don't really have a lot to say about it. I mean, Rhino and Ron Killings is objectively a cool tag team. And it is... Like, I won't knock this match as a TV main event.
Yeah, they replay the gore from Against All Odds, so the gore out of the stands. Also, you'd note if you watch the opening titles, they've added the gore through the wall to the opening titles.
Of course they have. Come on now.
They're reinforcing all of their wacky gores. Mike Tenay is like, Spike TV officials fucking love this shit. They're so happy that we have this pay-per-view quality match as our TV main event.
I mean, yeah, that's a good way of selling it.
Ron puts on Storm's cowboy hat and does a missile dropkick, which I appreciate. I always like when people steal Storm's cowboy hat. It is
like, you have a hat, expect it to be stolen for a pop.
So Rhino brawls up the ramp with Chris Harris, and Rhino is standing at the top of the ramp looking down at Chris Harris ready to gore him. And suddenly, from the tunnel, Abyss emerges.
Like Jason.
There's a good, I think 11 seconds between when you first see Abyss and he first lays his hands on Rhino. So he does this, slow horror movie villain walk up the tunnel, slowly Abyss-like. And the tunnel is, there's fog in the tunnel, and there's a light in the back of the tunnel. So it is, perfectly lit and presented as a horror movie moment, as Abyss emerges very slowly, doing his very slow walk before he grabs Rhino by the hair and pulls him down.
Abyss missed his calling for a cinematic match star.
Oh, he would have been so good if you just, put him as, Jason in a cinematic match.
You could have totally done, some sort of, big tag match, right? You know what would have been a really fun, combat, if the timelines had have, worked up? Doing, the Decay versus, the Rascals. And you just have, the Rascals running around, a campsite and Abyss hunting them the whole time.
Because Abyss did do some cinematic stuff. The second Hardy cinematic match was against
Decay.
Yeah,
he did the End of the World one, right?
And they did the Apocalypto one, and even the Great War one at Bound for Glory was there was a cinematic portion of that as well as a regular match.
But you could totally see him hunting down the two weed heads, just really playing into the horror 90s slasher tropes.
And they do 7 false finishes where they think they killed him and he just keeps coming back.
Yeah, right. They keep hitting him with moves and he just completely no-sells it.
We've buried him alive and then he just emerges.
Yeah, this is what cinematic matches were meant to be.
Bits.
Which is, again, proof that TNA is the only company that has done good cinematic matches.
Yeah, because they were about bits.
Except for, the Briscoe vs. Briscoe one, but that's just a match that was filmed in their backyard. That is not a cinematic match, I would argue.
Yeah, that's, closer in spirit to, the 2000s WWF hardcore stuff than, cinematic stuff.
100%.
Where Al Snow ends up in a river, those kind of matches.
Yeah.
So, Abyss pulls Rhino down, and then he just black hole slams him through the stage.
Awesome.
He picks him up and he spins him around this little column to the side of the stage, and they crashed through it. And I think Abyss got worried at first because he hit it first and it didn't really move.
He had to push.
Yeah, he had to lean further in and then it did collapse in. So Rhino and Abyss are still falling through things.
It was a very awkward little fall.
This left Killings isolated. Super Kick and Death Sentence gave AMW the win as they then replay the Black Hole Slam through the stage a couple times. They didn't replay the slow walk up the tunnel a couple of times, which disappointed me. But they did replay the Black Hole Slam through the stage. So we go backstage. Planet Jarrett. They're having the viewing party for Alex Shelley's Sting footage. Jackie comes out in a chimney sweep outfit.
I think it's meant to be what do they call them? What do they call them? A maid?
But it's more like an 1800s maid.
Yeah, it's a French maid, but an old French maid.
Because she has one of those old duster things.
Yeah, it's not a chimney sweep.
My mind went to if you had a maid in Oliver, it would look like this. So that's what she's wearing.
She's still inside the house.
Not as slutty as you would have expected for how they were building it up, so more restrained.
Yeah, it's very surprising, actually.
Jeff does a bit where he drops the tape, and it's Jackie, can you pick that tape up? And she does the crouchiest crouch to pick it back up that she can, so as not to lean into Jeff's creepiness.
Perversion. And I like his sell of it as being fuck, she got me. She got me on that one.
So we are presented with Alex Shelley's tape of evidence that Sting is retired, and it is tremendous.
Yeah, I remember this This is like the thing I remember most about Sting's early run is this video.
So Sting is picking up his kids, the little Stingers, little Steve and little Garrett, who recently appeared on AEW's Revolution in Sting's last match. Their first television appearance.
You know, I was doing some like TNA watching the other day. And in the like big like Sting great AEW promo where he goes like, no one's ever touched my family before, I was watching some old stuff and I saw Kurt attacking fucking Garrett. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, in the build up to Bound for Glory 2007, Kurt goes out to California and starts stalking Garrett. So not me, his Sting's son.
Yeah, he like beats him up and like then actually Garrett like beats him up and gets in a car.
Yeah, and tries to, and like they cut back to Sting and he's like, run, get away.
Yeah, Sting's watching it on TV like, run, Garrett, run.
So this is the debut of the little Stingers. It is funny how often that happens. That just like, you know, they were a very big part of Evolution, and here we are talking about their debut on television on our literal next episode.
One of these kids would go up to be a streamer.
Well, yeah, one of them loves Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny. I wonder if he plays with Paul White.
Which I believe is Garrett is the Destiny streamer.
Makes sense.
So Shelley is watching Sting pick them up from school. Shelley is watching them play with their mom, playing basketball. Shelley is like, look, they suck. And then one of them makes a shot and he's like, well, you know.
Maybe it's like, he's like, yeah, well, you know, everyone gets a lucky shot.
Then watches Sting go to the gym, and then they cut back, and Jeff Jarrett is absolutely delighted. He's like, there it is. There is demonstrable.
He's living his life.
It's like, Alex, you have done such a good job. Well done. This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. We have proven beyond all doubt that Sting is gone and he's never coming back.
Bravo.
And then they pan to Eric Young, who's like, did you see that? He's going to the gym. Guys, why is he going to the gym?
He's getting ready for a return.
He wants to get in shape to come back and kill us. And Jeff Jarrett's mood immediately goes from, Alex, you are the best person I've ever seen, to, Alex, you fucking useless failure.
Yeah. He switches up on him on that one.
It goes back to my favorite part of this, in that, like, Jarrett is delighted until Eric Young has doubts, and Jarrett, he takes the Eric Young doubts seriously. He can't just dismiss them.
And he's like, God damn it, Alex, you failure.
So he's like, you have to go back out to California again. You need to go up to Sting. Never mind this clandestine stuff. Never mind filming him and his family from the bushes. Never mind all that. You have to go up to Sting and ask him. Ask him, is he done? I want it on tape. I want him saying it. So go out there, bring that back for next week.
Alex is not happy with this.
So, opener of the March 4th Impact. America's Most Wanted, Abyss and Jeff Jarrett face the wonderful Jobber All-Star team of Shark Boy, Norman Smiley, Cassidy Riley, and Buck Quatermain.
It's Norman Smiley's back.
Yeah, reuniting with Shark Boy for the first time since their 2003 tag team.
I mean, are we excited to see him back? And again, he was like the best part of the match too.
It's really funny that this is meant to be an enhancement match for the four guys who have the pay-per-view 8-man tag. And by design, the star of the match is Norman Smiley.
Yeah.
Because, like, the match is 2 minutes long, most of which is brawling, except for Norman, who hits his awesome wind-up scoop slam and his big wiggle, which gets a big pop before he turns into a black hole slam, and then Jarrett doesn't let Abyss pin him and strokes Norman for the win instead. It's really funny to me that you watch this match, which is meant to be a total squash, and Norman Smiley probably gets the most offense.
Yeah, and looks the best. I was like, let's keep Norman Smiley around. What are we doing?
There is a note. BG James complained.
Just leave it there.
Because he was told not to do his pelvic thrust before the pump handle slam on television. But then Norman Smiley showed up and did the big wiggle on TV, which got over big live. Smiley, who was brought in as just another jobber role, got a reaction since they remembered him as a character from WCW. So BG's like, that was my spot. I used to do that for a pop, but now Norman Smiley's doing it, and I was told I couldn't do it.
I would argue that BG James' version is more vulgar.
Norman Smiley is playful.
Yeah, BG James bends him over and fucks him in the ass.
Whereas Norman Smiley just gives him a little wiggle.
Yeah, and then he does like a spin. He makes it jovial. BG's is like uncomfortable. Now maybe that is because it's BG James. But, you know. I can understand the difference.
So after the match, Alex Shelley comes down to the ring with his new Sting tape. He hands it to Jarrett, and Jarrett is once again delighted. He is so happy that he leaps into Scott D'Amore's arms in celebration that they have this tape of Sting, presumably declaring that he is gone and never coming back.
And like Shelley's trying to say something, but like they all leave, and then Shelley goes to the one person who will understand him, EY, and is like, man, I don't know. And EY's like, oh shit.
So JB has Matt Bentley and Tracy. We'll talk about that when we're talking about the extensive Matt Bentley and Lance Hoyt feud. But Planet Jarrett do walk in and bust that interview and tell JB, we have a viewing party tonight. He demands once again Jackie prepare the viewing party room, as Shelley does not look pleased. He's sheepish. He is looking at the floor. He does not appear happy with his work this week, as opposed to last week where he was very happy with his work.
And Jarrett is just so caught up in the moment he doesn't even realize it.
Yeah, because the entire bit is that Alex Shelley is occasionally it's like, Alex, don't be modest. Your work is fantastic. He's still too modest for his own good.
Which is the Alex Shelley character has never once been accused of being modest.
That's Jeff Hardy's gimmick.
To the top.
So Jackie first declines to prepare the viewing room, which Jeff has to then shout at her. But while he's doing that, he just offhandedly hands the tape of Sting to Eric Young. And as he mentioned, Shelley mentioned something to Eric Young in the opening segment. So Eric Young decides to abscond with the tape.
Runs away.
If no one sees it, it's not real.
That's a fair point.
So we then have a 6-man tag team match later on that show. Team Canada face Chris Sabin, Jay Lethal, and Sanjay Dutt. And the entire point of this match is Eric Young is wrestling a match. He's in this match, but he is hiding the tape of Sting in the crotch of his gear.
No one will notice. It's fine.
Yeah, Jarrett comes out mid-match and tries to get it from EY's crotch, and EY's like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing here.
I really appreciate EY's commitment to, if we don't watch it, it doesn't count.
Yeah, anything that happens on it isn't real. So I'm just going to stay and wrestle this 6-man tag and ideally break the tape at some point.
Amazing.
Sabin nails Rude with the world's prettiest tornado DDT. It's so good. That man is the best wrestler that has ever existed.
It's nice that he busted out.
Lethal wiped out EY with a dive, which allowed Jarrett to get the tape back. All the commotion at ringside allowed PD to pin Sanjay with the Canadian Destroyer.
James Storm and EY are pretty good friends, right? They're all in this Planet Jarrett thing together. And it just reminds me, why was he so mean to EY that one time he went to buy condoms?
Because of all of this. Because EY brought Sting's wrath back on them, so he has never forgiven him.
It was a years-old grudge?
Yeah.
My God.
So when they went to buy condoms, he was like, fuck you. Remember that time Sting retired and you brought him back because you were too paranoid to accept that he was retired?
That's up there with the Team 3D funeral for me. That segment is so funny.
Because that is the one thing you can say about Russo TNA. It does get sillier.
Yeah, which is the best. If there's one thing he did understand about TNA, it was the comedy.
Yeah, it's not meant to be boring.
Yeah. He understood the difference between WWE comedy and TNA comedy.
This is the reason all of this stuff works, because with Planet Jarrett and the tapes and the paparazzi productions and the filming Sting, it is firmly TNA comedy. There's a segment on the pay-per-view that you just started, I think, clapping during, because it is just pure unfiltered TNA comedy.
Yeah. That reminds me some of that early Vince stuff where he's with AJ and AJ's like, I can do a flip in the pool, Dad.
Yeah.
That's good comedy. I felt and to be fair to Vince Russo, a weird statement, we've always said good on-screen character. If there was someone else controlling him, he'd be fine.
And once he's not an authority figure as well, ideally.
Yeah, as a manager role or just some weird freak, great.
He cut good promos during the sex era, but also it was an unbearable angle that he wrote.
And again, I'll take the sex era over the Dutch Mantel boring era.
Yeah. So we once again have the second viewing party. They have Shelley's tape. Jarrett is bigging up Shelley as Shelley looks extremely anxious. So Shelley is once again stalking Sting. He's watching Sting coach his kids' football team and walks hand in hand with his daughter. And he's like, listen, I know you want me to go up and confront him, Jeff, but we can build up to that. We don't need to do that immediately, okay?
And he's like, I'm not scared.
We can ease ourselves into it.
He's like, I'm not scared.
There's a great moment where Sting is bringing his kids into the car after the football practice, and Sting's daughter is just looking right at Alex Shelley the whole time. And I'm not sure, is that meant to be the angle that his daughter has spotted Shelley?
I think it is. The idea is that Sting knows about this. He saw the show last week, and like even if he didn't know about this, he does know about it now.
But it is very funny that she's just glaring at Shelley. The Sting family crosses a road, and Shelley makes a Beatles reference and calls them John, Paul, George, and Stingo.
And then he goes, Beatles reference.
Sting kisses his daughter, and instead Shelley quips that Jarrett should give him a kiss with his guitar.
Doesn't he say that about the daughter?
Oh, but did he say about the daughter instead of Jarrett?
I thought he said
daughter with the guitar?
Jarrett should give her a kiss with his guitar.
I thought he said him, but he might have said her. Sting's playing golf, continues to watch.
Right. See, I think I Mandela affected this. I have a memory of Sting hitting the golf ball at Shelley in the bushes.
No.
But I think I must have just invented that.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe it's because right after the confrontation happens and I've just put them together in my head.
So Shelley is like, I think Sting spotted me, Jeff. I think he's seen me. And then Sting emerges from his car, confronts Shelley.
Wait, do you want to be Sting and I'll be Shelley?
Oh, sure. So Sting emerges from the car, very angry, confronts Shelley, is like, you think this is funny?
No.
Why would you do this?
I was told to.
The defeat in Alex's voice and the no and I was told to is
and then Sting just goes, "You're an idiot. Get a life."
Yeah, he's mad. He's like, you crossed the line. You confronted my family. This is unacceptable. So it won't be Sting coming to Destination X. It'll be Steve Borden. And as you said, he just ends the segment just shouting, "Get a life, idiot!" at Alex Shelley.
But Shelley's probably paid for this, you know? He's probably, this is his job. I was told to.
He's just an auteur. He is just a filmmaker.
Yeah.
They then cut back to the viewing room.
Everyone despondent.
For an amazing reaction shot as they pan across the entirety of Planet Jarrett, starting from AMW, going across the Team Canada, going across the Gale, to Jackie, who is smiling like a Cheshire cat in all of this, which is fantastic. And then back across the EY, who does the giant bomb guy blinking meme.
Yeah.
He does a version of that before a big gulp, and Bobby Roode is biting his towel, and James Storm's drink is dropping out of his mouth.
Yeah, he's drinking but it's just free falling out of his agape mouth.
So the whole time they're doing that reaction shot, you just hear the sound of James Storm's drink dripping onto the floor.
I need this GIF as a reaction GIF.
It's perfect. It is the world's best reaction. In a world where wrestling is produced for TikTok, basically, this is it.
TNA was just around at the wrong time.
Yeah. I do love Jackie just being
yeah, she got some fucking comeuppance. She didn't get comeuppance, but you know what I mean? She got some revenge.
She has some schadenfreude here.
You can present, bad people in storytelling, especially in pro wrestling. They just have to be proved to be bumbling idiots the whole time.
Jarrett then starts shouting at Alex Shelley. It's this seems like a thing you should have told me. And he's well, I tried to. It's shut up, Alex. And then EY does a great big gulp as Planet Jarrett are shocked that it's not Sting coming to the pay-per-view. It's Steve Borden.
That's more dangerous. A man called Steve.
So the big hook for the pay-per-view is a legend retires, but a man returns.
I hope AEW uses that.
Yeah, Sting retired. Steve Borden is still around.
Steve Borden never retired. He's got one more match left in him.
End of this show, they go back to Planet Jarrett, where Jarrett's just lying on a bench. Gail and Scott are there, very worried. Scott is we're screwed. And then Jarrett sits up, and he's I have an idea. And I have his number on speed dial.
And he will, try to make a holler if you hear me joke. There isn't.
He's gonna holler if you hear me. March 11th, Impact. We go to a feature on Sting as they push, the hook, the tagline for the pay-per-view about how a legend retired and a man returns.
I want to give one more shout about these segments real quick. JB has been the perfect, not straight man. You can't call him the straight man of the segments. But, I guess, substitute for the audience. Just bug-eyed open, not knowing what's going on. Just he's just been perfect in this goofball role.
Because, yeah, we did replace Shane Douglas with Jeremy Borash this month because Jay Penzer is now ring announcer, so JB has moved to backstage interviewer. And like Shane Douglas, I find funny because he's like, ooh, franchise, I'm a character in the show. Yeah. But I can understand the critiques that perhaps the idea of the backstage interviewer doing that maybe undercuts a lot of the idea of backstage interviews quite often.
Yeah. Because JB is never stealing the show, he's just emphasizing.
He does always compliment scenes, and he is a very important part of TNA comedy, because like JB filmed the Sting stuff. Alex Shelley obviously presented as the guy who filmed it, but JB was the guy with the camera filming that out in California with Sting's family.
JB truly being like a all over the team player guy.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, like he's clearly a guy who he's a Russo disciple. He did come up in Russo era WCW. He was Russo's guy in like World Wrestling All-Stars. Like he was always like a Russo adjacent guy, so he always had like arguably the wrong instincts. And
that explains the NXT being bad.
Yeah, and I was like, you watch some of this stuff and it's like the good version of that. You know, it's charming, it's funny, it's TNA comedy. And then you watch NXT and it's like unhinged, terrible. So it's he's clearly lost touch with his roots.
Or he's gotten too in touch with his roots.
Arguably. So we have an interview with Jarrett. Mike Tenay is asking him questions. Well, I think Mike Tenay is actually never on camera. They just show Jarrett responding to questions. But the framing is that Mike Tenay is trying to get the answers out of him. So he's like, I never went to his house. That's not stalking. We were in a public space the whole time. How dare Sting be outraged about this? But as we mentioned, the hook at the end of last week's Impact is that Jarrett has somebody to counteract Sting. And he's never been in TNA.
I disagree. There's someone that looked a whole lot like him in TNA before.
Yeah, my boy Del Rios is being erased from TNA history.
He's not the Del Rio I'd rather erase from TNA history.
Ooh. But yeah, he's known this guy since early in his career, up to the death of WCW, and then he's going to be showing up this Sunday at Destination X.
It's Goldberg, baby. He's finally here.
Yeah, like, I wonder who people speculate, because, like, obviously Goldberg was linked with TNA a lot this month, and maybe they did want it to be Goldberg, but, like, Goldberg wouldn't be on Jarrett's side. That would be very silly.
But maybe people thought of it anyway.
Yeah, and maybe that's what people thought the tease was. It ends up being someone other than Goldberg.
Someone more fun, honestly, and coming in at the perfect time.
Main event of this episode, Rhino, Ron Killings and Team 3D defeat the Diamonds in the Rough, Shannon Moore and Maverick Matt. It's really weird that, like, just as the Bentley bounce is, like, most over, they're pivoting away from it to be, like, Maverick Matt, not Matt Bentley.
Maybe it's just the thing of, like, we didn't want him to be over.
But he was, for baffling reasons, a babyface. Even though he's a very bad babyface. He's a natural heel.
Oh.
Don thanks the fans for making Bound for Glory the highest rated wrestling DVD in the Billboard charts.
I thought you were about to say of all time.
Ever. No one has ever bought more copies of a DVD than Bound for Glory 2005.
Would you doubt it?
Moore looked to springboard, but Bully just stands there and catches him with a German. I do actually have that DVD. Simon Diamond jumped on comment. There's a baseball thing going on again, where earlier in the show, Mike Tenay and Chris Sabin go and present the White Sox with the X Division title because Simon Diamond interrupted them last time. So AJ Brzezinski and Dale Torborg finally accept the belt, and they say they'll give it to the player of the game. But then Simon Diamond comes on commentary in this main event. Is like, hey, how dare you? You should be doing that.
That's fair. I like that he like gets mad at Mike Tenay for not caring. He's like, you're a wrestling historian. You should hate this.
You should also be outraged at the idea of baseball man having wrestling championships.
I think the idea that, like, he's like, you should be mad that he didn't win this, I think is what he's, like, pissed about. And it's like, does he know he's not really the champion, right?
It is symbolic, Simon. Merely symbolic.
Joe didn't lose the belt here.
Tracy tries to interfere, so Team 3D give her the waz-up headbutt. And then they do a sudden cutaway and cut back to the get the table spot. And if you watch closely, it does appear that Devon lingers when he gives Tracy the what's-up headbutt. So I believe the idea, or the spot they did that did not make air, there's no note about this, I was hoping there would be, was that Devon held his face there a little while.
Yeah. Not like as a pervert in real life. We should probably specify.
Just as a pervert as a character.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one that they were probably like, we know we air at 11 o'clock, but we still can't put that on TV, Devon.
Still a little risky. It's not the Attitude Era.
They go to do the get the tables, but Killings and Devon demand that Bully gets the tables instead.
Again, He's confused.
They're taking their power back, I guess.
I did like that he was like, do you remember that one, like, Teddy Long, like, promo with them?
You're gonna have to be more specific.
Where he was like, Devon, why do you always have to get the tables?
Oh, yeah.
I just remember that, like, it's the delivery of it was, like, so good. During, like that whole Teddy Long thing, the White Boy Challenge era.
Like 2004-ish.
Yeah.
So Bully, after being demanded to get the tables, sulks a little bit.
Which tells us that Bully always viewed getting the tables as a demeaning act.
Yeah, he's been told to go get them, and now he's like, oh, I'm being made to do the manual labor instead of getting to lead the crowd in chants. Ugh.
So it's like, he clearly does not value Devon as a true partner because he views that as a negative task.
Yeah, he's disrespectful to his buddy who keeps getting tables for him.
To his brother.
Rhino Gore skipper Truth pins David Young with the axe kick. Planet Jarrett come out to the ramp and stare down the babyfaces before we head to the pay-per-view. There was also an NWA World Tag Team title match on the show. The Naturals faced America's Most Wanted. Once again, this is the 13th Naturals versus AMW match in TNA history, though 2 were on Explosion, so we've only seen 11.
I feel like we've seen them all, though.
I was like, because I was thinking maybe this is the last one, and then we could do a nostalgic AMW versus the Naturals retrospective, but there's one more in like July, so.
A retrospective where we're going to do a watch-along for all the matches.
We're going to sit down and watch every single AMW The Naturals match back to back to back. We'll throw in some Hot Shots matches too, just to even things out.
Spice it up.
Yeah.
Great. Sounds awful.
Despite recent history, Mike and Don point out that the Naturals have historically had AMW's number. They've beaten them for the tag titles twice, I think. So they do at least point out that despite the fact that they've been beaten by a drum by AMW in the last year or so, they have kind of been a bogey team for AEW historically.
Which is a good little angle to have. That's why, like, long-term rivals are good. Because, like, even if you're having, like, just a tune-up match, there's still a little story to...
Yeah, they do the thing where they pull Harris's crotch into Storm's face, and then Storm falls out of the corner, and his crotch drops on Harris's face. And Don says that's like a scene right out of Brokeback Mountain.
The hottest cultural reference of 2006.
Seemingly the only cultural reference of 2006.
Because gay.
The Naturals are running wild, so Gale distracts the referee, and then Team Canada run in. Rude Northern Lariats Douglas. Chase gets handcuffed at the guardrail, where it seemed unnecessary. They were already beaten. But AMW beats Douglas with the death sentence then. Yeah,
fine little match. It's always nice to see some AMW on the TV.
Yeah, two TV title defenses, neither of which are blowing the socks off the place, but it's nice to get AMW matches on television.
It probably makes sense because there's a lack of pay-per-view title matches, or at least built ones.
Yeah, and they don't really currently have any... I guess they can go back to 3D. That's like the long-term direction, even though they never actually do. But they don't actually have many teams at the moment that they haven't wrestled a billion times like the Naturals.
Yeah.
Like, who else could they wrestle?
No one.
Like, they answer that question by Styles and Daniels and LAX forming. But at the moment, you're like, who could they even wrestle? And the answer is only Team 3D.
They can't do LAX at this point.
No.
That would be a very weird match to do right.
So Destination X 2006, March 12, 2006 opens with a short film called Stung by Fritz Fellini.
And we must simply say, literally better than the Tony Storm gimmick has ever been. And I'm someone who has enjoyed most of the Tony Storm gimmick. They committed here harder than they've ever committed to Tony Storm.
So it's like a black and white film where they're showing like footage of like the pay-per-view matches and the build to the pay-per-view, and then they cut to it's Eric Young and like a mask doing like an old school opera kind of character reacting and miming to all of the things he's watching. So like when he sees Monty Brown and Monty Brown does his taunt, they cut back to masked Eric Young, who also does Monty Brown's taunt. It's all set to a funkier version of L'Amour's Uso
It's a
Rebel,
banger of a tune.
which I definitely knew the name of that song without having to look it up, and I definitely pronounced it really
you said
well.
it on the watch along.
Yeah, I know opera music, but it's the that one. No, that's circus music. It wasn't circus music.
Well, then why was this a clown show?
Well, it was a bit of a clown show. You're not wrong. He was miming. But then Sting shows up at the end of this video, and the big reveal is Eric Young collapses, and like, you realize it's Eric Young who's under this mask. Because this is more artful and interesting than anything they've done with Tony Storm's movies. It's actually crazy.
And like, you could totally do this with Tony Storm, and it would be a killer segment.
That would take actual, like, effort.
I don't even think it takes that much effort. It just takes 3 hours on a soundstage.
It's Fritz Fellini, which is, like, the Fellini part of that reference is quite obvious. But it's Fritz because that's Eric Young's shoot name, Jeremy Fritz.
I didn't know that.
So if you're wondering why it's Fritz Fellini, but that's the short film Stung is called. There you go.
Oh, we do know that, like, you know, Eric is someone in that kind of world too, so that makes sense from that perspective.
So there is a show-running story on this where Jeff Jarrett has instructed Alex Shelley and Eric Young to find Sting. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you go get him. So JB has Team Canada. They're facing the Naturals tonight because Team Canada cost the Naturals the belts on Impact. And Scott's is like, that we know more about being screwed as Canadians in America than the Naturals ever do. We'll win the World X Cup, and Canada has superior social security, superior education, and superior wrestlers.
Not wrong.
Shelley grabs EY as Jarrett has tasked them with finding Sting, and Scott is like, you have a match coming up, Eric. So in the middle of Lance Hoyt versus Matt Bentley,
This is awesome.
we pan up to the rafters. Mike and Don are like, now wait a minute, we have to go to the rafter? JB is in the rafters? As Eric Young and Alex Shelley have concocted a scheme to try and flush out Sting, to try and get information about Sting. So one, they're examining the rafters, naturally, because it's one of Sting's noted homes. The man likes the rafters a lot.
It is a classic Sting spot.
And then two, Eric Young has decided to drop a bunch of "Have you seen this man?" flyers from the rafters in order to find Sting. So it's like a picture of Steve Borden with contact details for Jeff Jarrett, and it's like Steve Borden, 6'4" or whatever, last seen Venice Beach, California. If you see him, contact Jeff Jarrett immediately.
Which, like, how are they supposed to contact Jeff?
You can find him. He's not that hard to find.
You just gotta shout at him from the crowd and be like, "I found Sting, Jeff."
He's actually right here next to me.
He's under the Sting mask.
Yeah, everyone, there should be that would have been a good bit. A bunch of people in a Sting mask in the crowd, and Eric Young is just pulling the mask off their face.
Yeah, and then he's under them. He's under all of them.
Everybody is Sting. Mm-hmm. We throw to the back after that match where JB has Rhino, Truth, and 3D, and Mike TNA is like, JB already got down from the rafters and is backstage? That guy's quick.
Yeah, he teleported.
Standard 8-man tag hype. They're like, we're going to beat up our opponents tonight. And then it ended with Truth being like, you can get this, you can get that, what's up? And Bully turning to Devon being like, you have to teach me Ebonics. And I'm like, what is this? What are we doing with this character? Why is this like this?
2006.
This man suddenly has black friends and he is overwhelmed.
He's historically had a black friend for a very long time.
Team Canada defeat the Naturals. Eric Young just gets back in time. He's panting, he's sweating, he's extra scared by his pyro. Mike today suggests that they should tell Scott D'Amore that there's an all-you-can-eat buffet backstage in order to get him to leave the ringside area.
How mean. How uncouth.
It's quite mean. The relentless meanness to Scott D'Amore is very, very unnecessary.
You're allowed to be mean to the heel.
That's true. It's like, you're fat, go away.
Yeah.
I do like the bit that Don West has a very similar physique to Scott D'Amore as well.
Yeah.
Earlier in the show, Matt Bentley took, like, it's the Shawn Michaels spot where he's lying across the turnbuckle. They kick the turnbuckle and he flies up and crotches himself in the ropes. Mm-hmm. And he did not take it very well. And then in this match, Eric Young took it and it looked awesome. They also, like, if you remember, was a Sacrifice last year, there was an 8-man tag where they did the spot where Chase Stevens dropkicked Eric Young and he just took the flare flop off the middle rope to the outside of the floor. And once again, in a meaningless mid-card match, for the second time, Eric Young has just decided to do that spot. I don't understand why. It's just like, Eric, this is a throwaway mid-card tag team match. What are you doing?
Yeah, but, like, what's the spot you remember from the match, I guess?
That's true. That's the only thing I remember about this match, other than D'Amore distracts the ref as EY breaks the hockey stick over Andy Douglas's head and Team Canada pick up the win.
A good break.
So Eric Young had a major scare after surgery to remove polyps from his vocal cords on March 7th in Nashville, which is the reason if you're ever wondering why Eric Young sounds like that.
I was kind of curious.
Yeah, he has polyps on his vocal cords that he has to get removed every so often so that he can talk. But he had some problems here because he had a problem with the anesthesia used in surgery and at one point couldn't be revived and his heart stopped beating for several minutes.
Imagine, like, being him and having to go in again to do it the next time.
Yeah, you would be quite scared, wouldn't you?
Like, anesthesia is great.
Also, he wrestled 5 days after this.
Yeah.
When they were able to bring him to, he had a regular heartbeat, but he was able to get out of hospital a day later and given the green light to wrestle on the pay-per-view where you wouldn't even know anything was wrong other than his voice was a little weaker than usual. So yeah, he took that dopey bump of Jay Stevens after having that major health scare. So later in the show, JB is backstage with Alex Shelley and Eric Young. They continue to be on the hunt for Sting, and they seem to have gotten intel that Sting has gone to the bathroom.
My God.
Eric Young does this like big forward roll, this like big diving forward roll that you would see in a video game.
And Shelley looks like impressed.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's stealthy. They step into the bathroom and they find a bat and demand that Sting come out. AJ Styles comes out instead. EY is like, is Sting in there? And AJ's like, no.
He's like, with me?
Yeah, I would never be gay in a man with a bathroom. You're gay. You're gay with your man in the bathroom. I think that is like the literal implication.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you're making the joke, but that is kind of literally what happens. Is AJ goes, yeah, you two being gay in here?
Yeah, it's like, what are you two doing in a bathroom together, huh?
Like, Brokeback bathroom.
Got him. This was the segment where you just started cackling because it's extremely silly.
Gay in the bathroom, right?
JB has Jarrett Abyss and AMW. EY comes in, says he can't find Sting, and Jarrett's like, it doesn't matter. Sting, come on down to the ring. We're facing Rhino, Ron Killings, and Team 3D in an 8-man tag team match next.
And they have kind of a wild little brawl.
And then a boring match.
And then a boring match after it.
Because if you remember, they did a version of this back at Genesis without Abyss and... Actually, without Abyss and Killings. It was Jarrett and AMW against Rhino and Team 3D, where they did this big building-wide brawl, and it was actually a good amount of fun. And, like, that's what they started doing here. Like, they started doing the big building-wide brawl. They were fighting each other. It was good fun. There was good energy to it. And then they settled into a regular 8-man tag team match where they got the heat on Rhino for, like, 30 minutes. You could have just done wild brawls and thrown each other through tables and everyone would have a good time. They do the waz up on Jarrett and Gail at the same time. Jackie assists the Gail one. So will she get in trouble? Will they reveal her tape for that?
I mean, I'm invested in finding out.
Devon goes to do the get the tables push on Jackie, but then is like, oh no, she has boobs. I can't touch her boobs. It's a lot of different get the tables bits this month.
Too many.
Arguably none of them good.
The other good one is Bully being like, oh.
AMW got to handcuff Truth to the ropes, but Truth turns it around and handcuffs Harris instead. Truth goes the pin storm with the axe kick, but Jarrett pulls the referee out. Jarrett then just beats Truth with the stroke. So we did all those Truth videos. We did like the refocus on Truth. It's like everything's going on with Ron Killings, and Jarrett just beats him again.
Cool.
Because he took the fall in the tag title match as well, like because Rhino was brawled out of the building with Abyss, so AMW even pinned Truth there. So it's just like, what are you doing? You could have pinned anybody else in this match. Could have pinned Rhino, you could have pinned Devon, you could have pinned Bully.
I would have just pinned one of Team 3D. They have an out of it being an 8-man tag.
Yeah, like there's no reason you couldn't have pinned any of the other men other than the guy you kind of refocused a little bit of push on this month.
Maybe they did the push because they knew they were going to have him get pinned.
That's true. And like it's the classic thing where like they gave him a visual pin on Storm before he got pinned. So it's like the classic thing where like we know well enough that we shouldn't be beating him like this, that we give him a visual pin, but we don't then just take the next step and say we shouldn't beat him.
Yeah.
It's really stupid. So Jarrett hangs around after the match and demands to see Steve Borden. He gives Sting until the count of 10 to come out, and after a very long difference between the 9 and 10 count, he eventually does not come out.
It's a great bit because, like, they always come out.
Yeah, he's like, I'll give you till 9. He's lying in the ring, he gets the 9, and then he does like a whole 30-second speech before he gets the 10. Jarrett says that he has been proved right, he's won the war, Sting is a quitter, and he's coming for the winner of Monty versus Christian.
And I went, no!
Apparently Christian, the Dudleys, and Rhino have formed a bit of a clique in TNA. They tend to dress apart from the rest of the wrestlers, but when around everyone else, they are friendly and fit in well.
They have friends. And that's negative.
So after the Christian Cage Monty Brown main event, which we'll talk about when we talk about Christian and Monty, Planet Jarrett come out, they attack Christian, they handcuff Christian to the ropes. Rhino tries to make the save but gets cut off. I don't think 3D tried to make the save. They're like, fuck it, we're done.
They're like, Ron just took the pin, so we need to that's our reason not to be here.
Yeah.
Even though Team T3 taking the loss would actually give them a reason not to be here.
Yeah, you could have done something where they were actually taken out, but nope, it's only Rhino who tries to save Christian, and everyone else is like, fuck it, I don't care anymore, we lost tonight.
Well, clearly Christian and the Dudleys haven't formed much of a clique backstage.
So when Christian is handcuffed to the ropes and they start taking their turns whipping him with a belt before Steve Borden shows up.
Not Sting. It's Steve.
He's wearing like a Nike exercise shirt and just some pants, no face paint, no, not even glasses. It's just Steve Borden showing up to kick some ass.
And it's so weird.
It kind of rocks because he is absolutely running wild on everybody as Steve Borden.
He's doing a Sting comeback.
It is a Steve
as
comeback.
Steve. It feels immoral. It feels unnatural.
Crowd go absolutely apeshit as Sting runs wild on Planet Jarrett. He gets the belt. He whips Jarrett himself. He locks him in the Scorpion Deathlock. Before Jarrett's ace up his sleeve, Scott Steiner makes his TNA debut.
Holla if you mother effing him.
Steiner hits Sting with a belly-to-belly. The crowd then chant for Goldberg. Steiner tees up Sting for each of Planet Jarrett to take a cheap shot at him. Steiner then locks Sting in the Steiner recliner as Jarrett scoots in on his butt because Sting is in a crouched position. So Jarrett on his butt hits Sting with a guitar while he's trapped in the Steiner recliner as Planet Jarrett and Scott Steiner stand tall and Steiner's siren theme plays as the show goes off the air.
One fun thing that I noted during this was that Steiner makes sure to give all of the younger members of Planet Jarrett a hit and a bit of shine, which I think, I don't know if I ever necessarily think of Steiner as someone who is selfish, but I don't ever think of him as someone who isn't. And to see that was I was like, all right, go on, good work, Scott.
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's just this could have been all about Scott Steiner, but they did nicely incorporate the other Planet Jarrett guys so that as I said, they can all get a little moment in Scott Steiner's big debut.
Yeah, it was just, I thought it was very interesting.
Not everyone in TNA management believed it was wise to bring in Steiner, but the only opinion that really counts is Jeff Jarrett's, and he is a longtime friend, despite some fallings out in recent years.
Fuck it. We had Scott Steiner and Abyss in there. RDX!
Yeah, it's nearly all of RDX. Sanjay's backstage. They should have got him out there.
RDX, truly the greatest stable of all time.
It was at this moment that the timeline began moving inward.
The fuse was lit.
Toward Scott Steiner starting a riot in India, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, Steiner's cool, and Steiner and TNA turns out to be cool for very many reasons, so thumbs up.
We've got many wonderful moments to come. There's a certain promo. There's a certain whole episode. There's a certain 2-word statement, which is echoed in our brains for the rest of our time.
The Mike Tenay and Don West love shouting about Scott D'Amore too.
Yeah.
Dave does note that Steiner hasn't actually currently signed a deal at this point, but he is showing up doing stuff. And also, you could do that with Steiner because I don't think he's going to jump to WWE anytime soon at this point in his career. This is my favorite point of Scott Steiner's career, where anytime he does an interview, he's like, that Triple H pussy bitch, let me see him take a drug test right in front of me, huh?
He's not wrong.
He was not wrong indeed.